If you are watching this video, it's probably because you want to improve your listening and become the kind of person that people thank for taking the time to hear them out.
Thank you!
Because listening is a service to another human being. It can help someone in a messy, muddy situation feel much better. It can help someone with a burden unburden themselves and realize, hey, I'm not crazy. Listening can help a stuck person identify a next step. All of that is huge. But the steps to profound listening are surprising. If the first rule for doctors is do no harm, then the first rule for listeners is put up no roadblock. Dr. Gordon Thomas has identified 12 roadblocks to listening that good listeners should not do. Removing these 12 roadblocks from your listening can be a challenge, but we will break them down one at a time so you can eliminate them from your listening. The first roadblock to listening is ordering, commanding, and directing. Don't become a Commander Karen. She shuts down listening by telling people what to do. If you are a Commander Karen, you say things like, here's what you need to do. You have to stop. Go home and do this. If you become a Commander Karen, expect that people will shut down, or they won't take ownership of the problem. And why should they? After all, you've taken ownership. Coming soon, we'll address Roadblock 2, warning, admonishing, and threatening. Don't become a threat level Larry. He stops listening so he can apprise you of the threat level. He says things like, you can lose your job for that. You're going to wreck your marriage. If you don't do this, then... If you become a threat level Larry, people will often disagree with you and tell you why you are wrong. And they're going to be closed off, not wanting to continue sharing because you're not listening. Stay tuned for the next roadblock to listening: moralizing, preaching, and imploring. Moralizing mics are people who remind others of their duty, obligation, and responsibility. They might think they are doing people a favor, but they just make people feel judged. And by bringing down the hammer of guilt and shame, they quash any self-directed motivation a person may have. Up next, advising, giving suggestions or solutions. Don't be a suggestion Sally. She's got a million ideas. But her freely shared solutions rob people of the opportunity to fully articulate their own thoughts, and she cheats them out of the feeling of competence that comes from developing your own solutions. Stay tuned for our next video on Dr. Gordon Thomas's 12 roadblocks: persuading with logic, lecturing, and arguing. Don't be an argument Andy. He has all the facts and reasons. He says things like, do you realize? It won't work because experts agree. Argument Andy thinks he's being helpful, but nobody cares how much you know, Mr. Know-It-All, until they know how much you care. So show some care by being a good listener. What's up next? Dr. Gordon Thomas's 6th roadblock: judging, criticizing, disagreeing, and blaming. Critical Carl knows what your problem is, and he doesn't mind telling you. He says things like, well, that's dumb. Don't do it like that. You're doing it wrong. Critical Carl probably thinks pointing out your stupidity will benefit you in the long run, but his special offer is usually not very welcome or very helpful. Coming to an internet near you, Dr. Thomas's 7th roadblock to listening: praising, agreeing, evaluating positively, and buttering up. Praise and agreement Pete seems like a really great guy. He says things like, hey, you got this, bro. To which you'd probably say, actually, I'm drowning. Because when something is going on in your life, you don't need a pep talk. You need the other person to get down there with you, hear you out, and help you find a solution. Listening can be a tremendous service to another person. To improve at listening, the first step is to eliminate the roadblocks to listening, like this one. The 8th roadblock to listening is name-calling, ridiculing, and shaming. Shaming Sharon really shuts things down. What a pig. Grow a spine. You're being a doormat. You really screwed this one up. Only a masochist would thank a shaming Sharon. For our next roadblock, interpreting, analyzing, and diagnosing. Craig, the amateur counselor, has deep insights. He says things like, "You're just saying this because you're angry right now. This looks like denial to me. You're scared to commit because your father was distant." Craig the counselor quit listening as soon as he identified your real problem. Even if his diagnosing doesn't make you feel like a bug under a microscope, his pronouncements put an end to your self-exploration. Coming soon, reassuring, sympathizing, consoling, supporting. Sarah the sympathizer wants you to feel much better. She'll give you platitudes and cliches because she's so stricken by your pain. But what if instead of sympathizing and consoling, she let you keep talking and sharing? You might say, "Thanks for listening. I'm not able to talk about this with just anyone." Stay tuned for Dr. Thomas's next roadblock, probing, questioning, interrogating. People love it when you listen to them. But asking too many questions, especially close-ended ones, can make people feel like you've got your own agenda. Fact-finding Francisco steers the conversation to satisfy his own curiosity. Maybe he's sleuthing things out, or he is going through an internal checklist. Either way, it can feel like an interrogation. Why did you do that? How long have you been feeling this way? Have you spoken to anyone else about this? Watch out for our next video, the roadblock called Distracting, Diverting, and Kidding. Hi, my name's Jason, and I'm the wonderful voiceover actor that you've heard on these animated videos. I want to discuss the last example of roadblocks to listening just by talking to you. It's called withdrawing or distracting. And I see this quite a bit. I work with alcoholics and drug addicts that actually, inviting someone to have a few beers and relax and enjoy themselves is a very typical way of handling profoundly difficult situations. So the scenario might go like this. Somebody's, goes over and they talk to their friend and they're like, so-and-so kicked me out of the house and blah, 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 blah. And they're just feeling really depressed and low down. Well, let's go get a bottle. And that's an example of withdrawing and distracting. Another example of withdrawing and distracting would be just trying to cheer somebody up. Like, hey, buddy, let's go do this. Let's go do that, rather than deeply listen to the person. And I think it comes from a good place. Someone sees someone, right, in distress and tries to relieve that distress. So it is a very, very common way of not listening. In my course on interpersonal influence, you will learn what to do instead of these 12 ways not to listen. I'd like to point out a 13th way that came up as I was working with students and helping them learn to listen better. And for lack of a better word, I just call it relating and comparing. And this is a very common way of having a conversation with a friend. It's kind of like oh yeah, that happened to you? Me too. And so you can see two people involved in a conversation where one person is saying, hey, I went to Disneyland with the family. Oh, Disneyland, man, what a great time. Yeah, my dad used to take me there all the time when I was a kid. Really? Your dad used to take you there all the time when you were a kid? Yeah. And you go back and forth and you're showing interest in the other person's things that they're saying by sharing something that brings up for you. And there's nothing wrong with this in a regular conversation. It's two people just showing over and over again how much alike they are to each other. and how the thing that you're saying sparks this other thing in my mind. And it's not listed in the 12 roadblocks to listening. However, it is a roadblock to listening. And what you're doing when you're really trying to listen to someone is you give up your turn. So it may spark for you some, oh yeah, I remember this, or oh yeah, I did that too, or oh, you're in a softball league. Heck, my dad used to run softball leagues when I was a kid. We spent so much of our summers on a baseball diamond playing softball. What a great sport. And then you may ask something else, or that may spark something in the other person. When you're really truly listening, what you're going to do is you're going to give up your turn. You're going to sacrifice your turn. So someone says, yeah, I played softball last week. And instead of saying, oh, I have this thing that's related to softball that I could share with you, you're going to say an open-ended question like, you've been playing softball? Tell me a little bit about that. And you're giving up your turn to allow that person to say more about the topic that they just spoke about. It takes a little bit of effort to do at the beginning, but I'm telling you, you will deepen your relationships with people, and you will ultimately become more influential in people's lives when you learn to ask open-ended questions rather than share something that their statement brings up for you. I would heartily encourage you to take my course called Interpersonal Influence 101. It's totally free. And this little graphic that's here, it has all the 12 different roadblocks to listening in it. And I'll have a copy of this in the course that you can download for free. Again, the entire thing's free. I'm not, looking to make any money off this or upsell you to another course, at least not at this time. Quite frankly, I'm kind of shocked at how few people have taken advantage of this free course. So check it out. Look at it. Let me know what you think. Tell me what's wrong about it. Whatever. But if you're interested in these topics, I've seen about 300, 400 people have looked at these videos in total, and very few of them have taken the course that is announced in these videos. So please do that. And I hope that this was helpful to you. If it was, and you don't want to take the course, can you at least leave a comment below or hit the subscribe and like button? I have lots of content about addiction and overcoming addiction. Thank you.